73% of enterprise leaders believe AI will fundamentally reshape their industry within the next 18 months. But here's what they're not saying. Most of them have no idea how to lead through that shift. This is the convergence problem. And it's about to define your competitive advantage or your obsolescence. The pressure is real. Your teams are drowning in tooling options. ChatGPT, Claude, custom models, automation platforms. Every vendor is promising transformation. Meanwhile, your finance team is asking why headcount isn't dropping. Your engineering teams are asking whether they should rebuild processes or wait for the next platform. And your board is asking why you haven't captured the productivity gains that everyone else is talking about. The hard truth: automation without human leadership creates chaos. AI without strategic intent becomes an expensive experiment. And the executives who treat this as a technology problem instead of a leadership problem are the ones who'll fall behind. According to McKinsey's recent 2025 AI State of the Confluence research, only 19% of organizations have successfully scaled AI beyond the pilot phase. Why? Because they invested in the technology first and asked the leadership questions second. Over the next 10 minutes, we're going to walk through the 3 principles that separate leaders who extract real value from this convergence from those who just spend money on it. This isn't about understanding machine learning. It's about understanding how to lead humans in an era where machines do the cognitive work. We'll cover how to architect your organization for human and machine complementarity. We'll show you how to build decision frameworks that don't get replaced by algorithms, and we'll walk through how some of the sharpest leaders in Singapore, India, and across Asia Pacific are already making this shift. Point 1. Complementarity is not optional. It's your operating system. Most executives get this wrong. They see AI as a replacement layer. Fewer machines, fewer humans, lower costs. But the data says something different. According to Gartner's 2025 Enterprise AI Capability Research, organizations that explicitly designed for human AI complementarity saw 34% higher productivity gains than those that used automation as a pure replacement play. Not 18%, 34%. Here's the evidence. When you design work so humans do what humans do best: judgment, context, relationship, ethical reasoning, and machines do what machines do best: pattern recognition, speed, tireless execution at scale. You don't get efficiency. You get acceleration. You get leverage. Look at how Infosys, headquartered in Bangalore, restructured their consulting delivery model in 2025. They didn't use GenAI to replace consultants. They used it to eliminate 3 weeks of research and analysis work per engagement. Consultants now spend 8 hours instead of 40 on information gathering. What that actually bought them was the ability to have consultants spend more time with clients on strategic thinking, on adaptation, on the hard conversations that require human judgment. They didn't reduce headcount. They increased billable senior consultant hours by 26%. That's complementarity. How you apply this? Stop asking, where can we automate away this role? Start asking, what does this person do that machines cannot? Build your automation roadmap around the work that's repeatable, rule-based, and low context. Redeploy human capacity to the work that requires judgment. That's how you get both efficiency and growth. Point 2. Decision authority must stay human. Speed doesn't excuse judgment. This one cuts against the grain of what you're hearing from every AI vendor. They're selling you the speed of algorithmic decision-making. Real-time this, automated that. But here's what's happening in the market right now. The organizations that are accelerating fastest are the ones that are actually slowing down their most critical decisions. A recent IDC analysis from 2025 found that 58% of AI implementation failures were rooted not in the technology, but in decisions that were automated too quickly. Loan denials, hiring rejections, customer churn interventions, resource allocation. When you let an algorithm make the call without human oversight, you outsource your judgment. You also outsource your liability, your ethics, and often your relationships with your most important stakeholders. Consider what happened with a major financial services firm in Singapore earlier this year. They deployed an AI model to flag high-risk trading activity. The model was accurate 97% of the time. But that 3% of false positives, those were legitimate trades blocked without explanation. The reputational and legal fallout cost them months and millions. The learning. Speed in execution matters. Authority in decision-making must remain with humans who can explain, defend, and own the outcome. Here's how leading organizations in India and Southeast Asia are handling this. They're building human checkpoints into their highest stakes processes. Not every decision. That defeats the purpose of automation. But the decisions that touch strategy, regulation, customer relationships, or reputation, those get a human gate. The AI surfaces the pattern. The human makes the call. The organization owns it. Your application. Audit your 3 most critical business processes. The ones that impact revenue, risk, or reputation. For each one, identify the decision gates where human judgment is irreplaceable. Automate around those gates, not through them. Train your teams to work with the output of AI, not to be replaced by it. Point 3. Leadership competency has a new baseline. For the past 15 years, the baseline leadership competency in a technology-driven organization has been digital literacy. You had to understand how systems work, how data flows, where bottlenecks live. That's still true, but it's no longer sufficient. You now need what we're calling AI human systems literacy. You need to understand not just how AI works, but how to structure organizations where AI and humans actually work together. According to the World Economic Forum's 2025 Future of Jobs report, 72% of executives identified AI and human collaboration skills as a critical leadership gap in their organizations. But here's the gap in the gap. They're trying to close it by sending people to AI training courses. That's like trying to solve a culture problem with an org chart. It doesn't move the needle because the competency isn't technical knowledge. It's architectural thinking. What does this look like in practice? We're seeing leaders in Seoul, Mumbai, and Sydney who are building cross-functional pods where AI engineers sit alongside product leaders, business operations, and customer-facing teams not in separate departments. In the same room. Every week, the engineer learns the business constraint. The product leader learns what's actually possible. The operations person shapes how work gets redesigned. That's how you build true AI human systems literacy. Your application is this. Audit your senior leadership team's exposure to AI thinking. Not training attendance. Real exposure. Have your tech leaders embedded in strategy sessions? Do your business leaders have ongoing access to your engineering teams? Are your people operations leaders in the room when you're redesigning work for automation? If the answer is no to any of those, you have a structural competency gap. Fix it before you deploy another AI tool. Let's be direct about what the next 18 months look like if you get this right. You're not operating a technology organization. You're operating a human-machine hybrid. Your competitive advantage isn't the AI you have. It's how disciplined you are about where you use it and where you don't. Your consultants aren't worried about being replaced. They're thinking like strategists because you've freed them from drudge work. Your operations teams aren't drowning in change management. They're moving faster because humans are making the calls and owning the outcomes. Your customer-facing teams aren't anxious about chatbots. They're handling the complexity and the relationships that actually determine loyalty and retention. This is the state you can build. But it requires you to stop thinking like a technology officer and start thinking like an organization architect. It requires you to see AI not as a cost center or a magic bullet, but as a multiplier on human capacity. And it requires you to make hard calls about where machines go and where they don't. The organizations that nail this in 2026 won't be the ones with the best AI. They'll be the ones with the clearest vision of how their humans and their machines work together in service of what matters. That's not coming from your technology team alone. That's coming from your leadership team having the courage to design for complementarity instead of replacement. Here's what we know. You're already under pressure to show results from AI. But the organizations that show the biggest results aren't the ones moving fastest, they're the ones moving most deliberately. And that means you need clarity on what we call the human capability framework. How to architect your teams so they actually benefit. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.